Node.js. He's the guy behind NFT.storage and Web3.storage. You won't see that written down anywhere, but
wow,
I got confirmation from him. He's managing that team.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, he's an impressive guy. I'm honored that he gives me the time of day. Yeah, all right, well, let's go ahead and fire this up, Aaron.
All right.
Okay, you got a little bit of an echo, maybe. I don't know. Looks better now.
That was me checking on the other stuff. And
okay, great.
Of course, the tornado sirens start up. We should be live here.
Okay, well, welcome everybody to the Permissionless Software Foundation Technical Steering Committee. It is Wednesday, October 6th. I am Chris Troutner. I helped found the PSF, and I manage fullstack.cash, and I'm joined by some very intelligent people here. Let's go ahead around and do some introductions. Aaron Shoemaker, you want to start?
Yep, I'm Aaron Shoemaker. I've been working with the development program of the PSF and on the NFT side for digital asset capture through photogrammetry, LiDAR, 360 stuff. So see a lot of potential in the NFT and SLP tokens for that sort of thing in the future. So that's why I came here seems like a long time ago, April.
Go ahead, Stoyan.
My name is Stoyan Zhekov, and I'm helping with maintenance of the JavaScript libraries. It's all from me.
And you're also our smart contract guru.
Recently, smart contract addicted.
So I'm Aaron Sundman, and I've worked for the past 20-something years at a $8 billion multinational as the innovation and digital strategist. And I'm leaving the company pretty soon, and kept thinking about how do we push forward on permissionless innovation, as we're seeing right now with the Chinese crackdown on cryptocurrency transactions. How do we make this better? How do we make sure that we are supporting the right technology to bring that kind of permissionless innovation and permissionless ability to interact with technologies around the world? So I'm glad to be a part of this.
Glad to have you. Well, welcome everybody. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. There we go. Okay, so as we've done in previous meetings, the way this works is we're going to go through the agenda items. This is our opportunity to celebrate some of our technical achievements over the last couple of weeks. And at the end of the agenda, we'll open up to a round robin discussion for just sort of any kind of tech topic that seems relevant. And so as always, you can find the agenda on GitHub under the Permissionless Software Foundation group, under the TSC repository, which stands for Technical Steering Committee, and we filed them as GitHub issues. And so this is the one for today. Let's go ahead and roll through the agenda here. So the PSF has its core software, BCH API, REST API, the BCH.js JavaScript library, and the Gatsby IPFS web wallet, which powers wallet.fullstack.cash. So these are our core software, and then they're fairly mature. So they're mostly in maintenance mode, and we're also branching out into other software that we'll cover later. So some of the updates to our core software in the last couple weeks. Daniel is a community contributor, and he has made great progress in integrating the IPFS node into Gatsby IPFS wallet. So pretty soon, you'll be able to open up wallet.fullstack.cash and go to the configuration tab and click a button for decentralized mode. And what will happen in the background is the web browser will spin up an IPFS node in the background, connect to the IPFS network, reach out to a blockchain service provider, and then the web wallet will begin to work through the IPFS network and talk to the Bitcoin Cash blockchain that way. And this will allow the web wallet to work in places where it is currently censored, like mainland China. That's the only place I know for sure it's censored. And so very excited to subversively get around the Chinese firewall and hopefully therefore be able to subvert other attempts at censorship as well. And this will make the entire stack from the user interface that the user uses all the way down to the blockchain decentralized with no single point of failure. Gary, and also as always, guys, feel free to interrupt me, jump on in if there's something you want to add. Otherwise, I'll just go through this and we'll get to the stuff I know we all like, which is talking about current events. Gary has been making some steady improvements in minimal Ovex wallet, which is a minimal SLP wallet is the sort of wallet engine that's inside Gatsby IPFS web wallet, and it's what does the checking token balances, sending tokens, all the typical wallet features. So we've created minimal Ovex wallet, which works on the Avalanche blockchain, the X chain, and it's pretty much at feature parity. It's really on me. I need to find some time to do some QA and just do a final check to see if there's anything we missed. But it's pretty much at feature parity. All the function calls are the same, so it's essentially a drop-in replacement. You use one library for talking to Bitcoin Cash. You use the other library for talking to Avalanche. All the function calls from a developer standpoint are the same. And this will also, this is reflected in our command line wallet. So we have SLP CLI wallet for the Bitcoin Cash blockchain and eCash blockchain. And we have, I think it's, well, we have a command line wallet. I'm having a brain fart on the name of it, but it's the same exact commands, same exact experience, but on the Avalanche blockchain. I've been playing with it. It works pretty good. Also, we've had sort of a recent addition. He's not new to the space, but he's new to the PSF. Matthew has been he's been a Bitcoin Cash developer for a long time. He started to turn his attention to eCash, and he's been submitting several PRs. He fixed the price feed on the ABC version of the web wallet, or the eCash version of the web wallet, a couple weeks ago. And then more recently, he submitted a PR to BCH.js so that JavaScript library can now generate eCash addresses and eToken addresses, just like it can generate Bitcoin Cash addresses or legacy addresses or simple ledger addresses. So that's a neat feature. If anybody wants to develop on the eCash blockchain, they can now generate both the coin and the token prefixes that work in that ecosystem with their wallets and keeps everything consistent. And he's also working on his own fork of our web wallet. There's a link here if anybody wants to check it out. I don't think it's been too customized, but he's working on bringing in the eCash branding and the redenomination. So they redenominated from, what Bitcoin Cash represents, which is 8 digits, to I think 6 digits or 1 million. So it's just they just moved the decimal point, but that all needs to be taken into consideration with the software. So he's working on that. Really, really appreciate his work. I definitely want to see us support all 3 chains, as a diversity strategy. So pretty happy with that. So that wraps up our core software. Moving on to the JSON RPC over IPFS and the pay to write database. This isn't in the agenda, but I just want to let you guys know that you saw the presentation I gave to Shapeshift DAO about the decks we're building and some of this technology. And I've been approached by 3 other DAOs since then who are very interested in this JSON RPC over IPFS. They're tech people, understand the threats that are coming into the industry from regulation. They understand how the JSON RPC over IPFS can circumvent attempts at censorship and regulation. So they're very interested in it. And so that's great to see. It's great to see that there's people with money interested in the tech wanting to push it forward. I'm very excited about what fruit that might bring.
That's exciting. I mean, I think your presentation was fantastic, and you brought out stuff that they hadn't thought of. So it's great that others are also interested and found out about this because of that. Just that one outreach is now spawning lots of different touch points.
yeah, it's been great. There's a lot of attention on Shapeshift, so I was so grateful that they gave us, a few minutes to present. Because yeah, like you said, it's really bearing fruit. So Daniel created a much improved user experience for the Pay-to-Write Database Explorer. Let me just show that off right here. So if you go to explorer.fullstack.cash, it now automatically loads the Explorer menu item, which it didn't do that before. So now it just takes you directly there. And then you'll see all these. It's like a block explorer, but instead of blocks, we just have new entries to the database. So as a new entry comes in, you'll see it. This thing refreshes every 20 seconds. You can click on the transaction link to take you to the Bitcoin Cash block explorer that will show you the transaction for the token burn that paid for this entry into the database. You can click on this hash to open up details about this entry in the database. And the big feature I really love is that now we've got most of the data is in JSON format. So now if it is in JSON format, it will automatically detect that and prettify it, make it readable. So this is great because this really makes it much more useful as a developer tool. And then also, if you click on this hash link, it also automatically adds these links. It will do a REST API call and pull the raw data down so you can see the raw data for this transaction. And then finally, there's also another link to a transaction ID. So yeah, those were the updates to that. Really coming along, really liking how this Pay-to-Write database is shaping up, especially from the developer tooling side of things. Also chat.fullstack.cash, which is both an end-to-end encrypted private messenger, but also more of a developer tool. It has a command terminal where you can go in there and sort of debug some of the network calls and interactions just to see what's happening if you're having problems. One of the two critical commands in there is list relays and list peers. So the list relays list all the circuit relays that your browser node's connected to, which is what lets you connect to the wider subnetwork. And then the list peers lists all the other nodes that your node is aware of. And so those commands broke and now they're fixed. So now they work. And then finally, another just great news, Ava Labs is in the process of processing a grant. They saw that presentation, or I've been in communication with them for a while. I'm on pretty good terms with most of the development team. And I managed to get a few of them to look at the presentation that I gave to Shapeshift DAO, and they were interested in giving us a grant to fund the Avalanche C chain side of the DEX. So that the grant hasn't been approved yet, but it is in the process of being approved. There's nothing. I have no reason to expect that it won't be approved at this point. And that's great because that'll pay for Daniel and Gary to work on the DEX over the next year for the Avalanche side of things. I'm also petitioning eCash to see if they would like to, put up some money for the development of the eCash side, but that hasn't progressed very far yet. Okay, so that wraps up this section on the JSON RPC over IPFS and the Pay-to-Write database. A couple other miscellaneous items. For those who haven't seen it yet, I wanted to point out this SLPDB review. This was sponsored by an anonymous donor who paid me and indirectly the PSF to do some research on the state of the SLP ecosystem, and specifically the indexers which power that ecosystem, and sort of what is their current state of maintenance and existence, what are the threats and risks, and what were my recommendations and what are my estimated costs for us to sort of move forward and solve some of those problems. So if anybody, I know everybody here has read it, but anybody watching this, if they haven't read it, I recommend you watch it. I put the links in most of the active Bitcoin Cash developer channels. There's also a link here in the agenda. But if I just, the TLDR on this is that basically there's a short term, there's the problem is that SLPDB, the main indexer that powers the ecosystem, is continuously growing and getting harder and harder to operate. And it won't be much longer until it continues on this trajectory where there's really already only a handful of people who can afford to run this program. And as it gets more expensive, there'll be even fewer people. And so the short-term solution to this problem is to switch to BCHD or Bcash, which both have built-in indexers, but come with their own set of risks. And then, in my opinion, the long-term solution is to build a replacement for SLPDB that is decoupled from a full node that's its own standalone indexer, and would be easier to maintain and could be redesigned to be much more efficient. So that's the TLDR on that.
Yeah, I think this is one of those big things. What you did over the past week and a half is showing the importance of the work that we're doing here, because I feel like that this right here starts to say, okay, there is a existential risk to all of the tokens we're creating if we don't have an indexer that works well. Like I think the example that you brought up in that was the Bitcoin.com one, and I didn't even realize that, but you pointed this out at one point. I was sending my PSF tokens back and forth to the Bitcoin.com wallet, and it didn't show up one time. And I'm like, what is going on? You know, I've done it many times, moved them around, and I didn't realize that there is an issue with that, and they're not perfectly aligned. I don't know what the differences are, but you know, putting that stuff here to make sure that we know the importance of doing this. I mean, this is to make sure that all the tokens, all the NFTs that Aaron Shoemaker is creating, that they exist years from now, that they don't get lost because the indexing have different opinions on how to deal with it. So I think this is a very important piece, and whoever funded it, I'm very thankful, because I think this now it brought up a lot, and it made us realize sort of where things are.
Yeah, thanks, Aaron. I echo that opinion completely. Appreciate that. And last thing on the agenda, it's a new quarter. We did an airdrop, and the voters spoke to fund our next quarter of infrastructure costs. So this is our opportunity to ceremoniously burn the leftover tokens from last quarter. So what we do is we try to overestimate the amount of tokens that we need, and because we'll just burn the excess at the end of the quarter. Everything's on chain, it's transparent, so anybody can audit it and keep us honest. So with that, we had 600 tokens left over from last quarter's budget. So what I'm going to do while everybody's watching is burn them using SLP Cli Wallet. So I have them in this temporary wallet just for the
You're
purpose
missing
of...
one S.
Oh yeah.
Good catch, Stoyan. Okay. Oh, this is kind of a little undocumented trick. If you do the -I, it means ignore tokens, which means it will burn the tokens. There's also a burn command, but I think it burns a specific amount of tokens, not all the tokens, which is what I want to do in this case. And then the address. Let's see. Oh, and I need to specify a wallet. Oh, okay, let's try the Bitcoin Cash address. Just as a reminder, SLP Cli Wallet is our sandbox wallet, so it usually is a little clunky, just because it's a rapid prototyping thing. PSF BCH wallet is our more refined Cli Wallet, or will be once we reach feature parity with it.
While it's doing this work, can I ask a question about the eCash addressing?
Yeah.
It's already over.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let's just check this transaction out on the Block Explorer.
Okay.
And I'm also updating the balance of the wallet here, just to confirm on both ends that the tokens have been burned. Okay, so the wallet's showing no more tokens. Oh, this took us to the wrong Block Explorer. Ledger.info.
You missed 1-4 in the beginning of the transaction. Okay, it's cool. Okay.
I think I got the whole thing. Try that again. Well, I can't fix their Block Explorer. But let's see. This is the transaction, and according to Blockshare, it did go through. Try copy from here. Yeah, their Block Explorer is probably having issues, but we can see some Bitcoin Cash. And this would have been the dust representing the tokens into one single output, which would not comply with the SLP specifications. So I can say with pretty good confidence that they are burned.
Awesome. I want to say, yeah, nice job.
All right.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing here. And we will, yeah, let's go into the roundtable. What burning topics do you guys want to talk about today?
I want to mention one thing on the NFT space, and because this is such a big, important piece for what we're trying to do. And so I don't know if you guys all use Jungle. I mean, I know Aaron Shoemaker has, because we had a discussion on I think on the last one. And
yeah, for people watching, just give a quick summary of what Jungle is.
Jungle.net, which is JUU, so 2 U's, is a SLP NFT exchange. So you can put your own NFTs out there, and you can buy them with BCH. Works pretty well, and there's quite a few things out there. I don't know, I could probably share my screen just to show. Oh, is it possible to show that?
I can turn on sharing.
I like to see.
You can share now. Okay,
so screen 2. So here is my, so I'm logged in right now, and this is my particular set of unlisted. So I've been buying lots of them because I just think it's a really interesting space. And I have some listed out there. So a lot of fun things, but they have a really kind of a rich experience out there. Problem with that right now is that one of the things that's going on is that to be able to put your own out there, you have to actually put a pull request moving them right now. So there's 16 pull requests sitting out there. Mine's been sitting out there since 8 days ago, but there's stuff out there since August 3rd that's not been added in. And, to make sure that we have a rich ecosystem, abilities to use the NFTs, as well as to be able to do what most other NFTs currently, other systems are currently doing. We need to, there's some discussions that have to go on. It's like, what do we do next if this is not, if someone's not paying attention or not moving this forward? I wanted to have some sort of discussion today on this, because I feel like Jungle has been really the best place to go. Lots of great stuff out there. The other guy, BA.net, who's been doing a lot of great stuff, but he's kind of switched a lot of his focus to Smart BCH. I don't know if you follow the BA.net guys.
Loosely. I've also heard of people moving their NFTs to OpenSea, even though they're still on the Bitcoin Cash blockchain. I haven't followed it too closely, but apparently there's a workflow for that.
there's a workflow to move. So, because that's a big thing right now. I mean, all of the things that we're working on in the NFT space, and I don't just mean in our system, but all around, is this rich experience of being able to put stuff out there and use it in what Aaron Shoemaker was calling the metaverse. In fact, if you guys haven't seen this guy, he had a tweet storm over the past 3 days that really absolutely it's a real game-changing understanding of what the metaverse is going to be and why digital ownership is so important. And he also, and the crazy thing about Punk 6529 is that he's anonymous or pseudonymous right now. And so he even, as he created his account, he said, most of you know me, but I don't want to go by that name. I want to be this punk, this crypto punk, and I want to have this discussion as the pseudonymous guy. But if you got to get a chance to read all about his time to build an open metaverse tweet thread, it's magnificent. It shows how important this space is, and that what we're doing right now, building this, is where it is to make it's this, our stuff has to align with all that metaverse is going to be, or we'll be left alone, left out. And so I think that's why what the paper you've put together, Chris, is extremely important for us to be able to feel like anything we're building now is going to exist when we get to this point where the metaverse is going forward. So for anybody who has not read that is a fantastic push. I don't know if you guys seen Sweet.io. Have anyone used Sweet?
With them.
So they have
they're actually clients of fullstack.cash.
Oh, are they?
We power their Bitcoin Cash infrastructure.
It's fantastic. Now, what's interesting is that they have a whole Burger King. Have you guys bought the real name? They're like adult.
I haven't been to the
Happy
main
Meals
one to do that, so I'm glad you're bringing this up because I haven't actually seen it in real life.
Yeah. So I'm gonna. In fact, you can scan this code with and it'll open up the Sweet wallet. If you guys want to see, can you go full screen on this? Because they're not unique codes. Aaron, can you go full screen on for a second? Just so,
yeah.
And then you can scan this. Oh, yeah, sorry, I kind of threw this at you. I kind of threw it at you, so I don't blame you for not having it ready.
Go ahead.
So if you scan this code, I don't know if it's good enough to see it. If not,
I'll maybe.
Yeah, you might have to stop sharing, I think. Stop sharing your screen.
Yeah.
And then you can get it on the full screen.
Oh yeah, let me stop sharing. So
I don't know. There we go. Yeah.
So this is this is Nelly. The cool part is if you have the Sweet app, these are not unique per box. So every box doesn't have a unique code. You're allowed to every 12 hours scan this code and get a unique NFT from Nelly. And this one's from Little Huddy. So there's another one out there. I'm going to hold this one up, even though you can only do one for every 12 hours.
Where is the QR code scanner?
So you can just use the regular QR code scanner on your camera. It'll launch a web page, and then you have to click a couple of buttons, and then it'll launch Sweet. So Sweet supports not only SLP, they also support Matic on ERC 721, and they support the standard Ethereum ERC 721. So there's a big ecosystem that's happening, and the fact that they have Dave and Buster's as well as Burger King, now they're all on ERC 721, they're not on the SLP wallet, but that's happening. This is now becoming real, and I feel like what you've outlined, Chris, is really important for us to support this and make sure that whatever happens, we are there to help you make this go. And I don't know what else to do except I'm trying to show in this tiny bit of a rambling moment here is to say, it is all moving forward. All of this stuff is happening, whether or not we build it. And I want to make sure that anything Aaron builds, anything we build like I'm starting a small company called the Digital Art and Currency Group. I feel like I want to build on Bitcoin Cash. And the reason is the fees are so low. You can do so much with it. There's already got all the miners, the proof of work protection behind it. There's a lot of things that I don't understand yet about how this is all going to happen with all these other blockchains. But Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin have enough of a simple model that they can keep working. So I want to find out more about Smart BCH, because that's the other part is how decentralized is it? And I know it starts centralized and becomes something else. But I don't know. Can we start a discussion on that? What does everyone else think about those concepts?
Yeah, I'd like
to go ahead.
I was going to speak a little bit on the metaverse and that whole idea. And this, so the idea, I believe that we're going to see a distinction in intellectual property between physical property and digital property. So you have a house, and if you were to scan your house with, say, a LiDAR scanner and create a point cloud of that house, that would become digital property, right? That is what you assign to the NFT. So you'd use something like the pay-to-write database, or you would use Filecoin in order to store this asset, and then you would use the NFT as a key to unlock the asset. And I think that's the big distinction that's going to happen, where right now people see the NFT itself as the asset, but what's really going to happen is the NFT will be a key to give access to the asset. And so what this means is, if you scan your house and now you have this digital asset, and you can sell this digital asset throughout the world, well, now your house is this compound asset. It's a physical asset that is appreciating value in a physical marketplace, but is also an asset that is bringing in reoccurring revenue, depending on how you sell that digital asset. So that's where I think the metaverse is heading, and that's where I'm also excited about the bridges that are being built, which means no NFTs or digital assets will be isolated in any one area. So I could build something on Ethereum, bring it to Bitcoin Cash, or vice versa, and I can move my digital asset where I feel it will be safe. So if, like Chris was talking about the SLP database, well, if I feel that it's not being upkeep, I'm going to move it somewhere else. I'm going to move it to Avex, right? And because I can cross the bridge and my access is still the same, now I have the ability to move that asset and maintain that asset in the future. But that's the idea where I see this metaverse heading is, in my field, when I'm working on photogrammetry, LiDAR, 360 capture, ambisonic audio, VR production, all these things, what's funny is if you look at the history of these things, they all started separately, and now they're converging into one thing. And it means that I can go out and I can capture a forest through several different means. Sometimes it's stereoscopic 360 capture. Sometimes it's photogrammetry. Sometimes it's LiDAR, depending on the lighting conditions and the power of the instrument. And I can then create this asset that I sell to a game company that puts it into a video game. That can happen right now. There are companies doing that right now. The difference is they're doing it on a clear web fashion, and you cannot resell the asset once you purchase it. Well, this is the game changer, where that allows you as a developer, well, you just went out and spent $1 million on digital assets, and you only use 500,000. Right now, you have lost that other 500,000, and there's no way to recoup it. And what NFTs and digital assets are going to do is give people and companies the ability to resell those assets and recoup some of their loss. So I didn't use $500,000. I just resold them for $300,000. Now I'm only out $200,000 on the project, right? And then when Facebook and social media, and I do want to talk about Facebook too, because of the thing that happened, made me really think about the PSF. When social media moves into the place that your page is no longer a page, it's a house, or it's the Grand Canyon, or like how I like to pitch it is, imagine walking into your house and it's the Taj Mahal, and you look over to the right and there's the Statue of David, and then you walk out to the backyard and it's the Grand Canyon. That's the metaverse. And you will be able to purchase the Grand Canyon. And maybe you purchase a better scan from somebody, or a better recreation from somebody, and those have different pricing levels and pricing structures. maybe you want to live in Jay-Z's mansion. Maybe that's your digital world. And what's cool is not only can you explore it on a desktop or a phone, but you can put it into a headset and literally be there. And as haptic feedback becomes better and cheaper, which is already happening, you can put on gloves and feel things in the real world. And in fact, we're going to be using those gloves to capture physical objects, the feeling of physical objects, and transmit them to the end user. Like, they're going to be capture devices. Right now, everything is programmed in a computer and if you want to use it as a capture device, there's a few companies out there, really expensive haptic capture software. They have like a big box and they have two gloves and they put their hands in the gloves and they capture haptic feedback that way so that they can put it into video games. But that's coming to where it's becoming cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. So not only can you live in this world, but if you're making an NFT, you could include haptic feedback to it. So I could go into my room and I can pick up this NFT and turn it around and feel it. That's where the potential of the metaverse lies. And it's going to start with this video games, 3D printers, and stuff like that. And then once it moves into social media, that's where it's going to explode. And these digital assets are really going to see their full potential. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I had a couple thoughts on what you guys said. I mean, first of all, to bring this back around to Jungle, I think that was a centralized solution because it was easier and faster to build a proof of concept using that. But now that the time has come to move beyond that. And, I know we're not the only ones thinking these things are working on it, but we definitely have a roadmap. One of them being the mutable token spec, which opens a lot of business doors, but also opens the door to get away from this permissioned workflow that exists today.
Right.
And then something you said about, I think you guys both touched on tokenizing assets, and one of the trends we're seeing is DAOs coming together to pool money to purchase NFTs. But as we know, those NFTs can be many different things. They could be a house. So you could have a DAO, like a real estate investor DAO, who pools their money to purchase real estate and rent it out and then bring in the cash flows and then divvy up the cash flows to the token holders. That's completely feasible today. And then what you guys said about the safety of ensuring that the NFT will stand the test of time in the face of all this new tech. I don't really see anybody talking about this much, but I think the trend that will emerge is multi-blockchain recording of data. So you don't just create an NFT on Ethereum or Ovex or BCH. You create an NFT that exists on all blockchains simultaneously. And so if something happens to any one blockchain or the transaction fees get high on one, you're not tied to any one specific blockchain. You can use whichever is the most appropriate at that moment for your business use case.
Yeah.
I actually have one of the doors I hope to open with the pay to write database.
Right. I actually have a friend who's planning on launching an NFT series, and his plan is actually to launch NFTs on Ethereum, and Bitcoin Cash and Avalanche. But his plan is not to duplicate them across the blockchains, but to have specific ones for the specific blockchains. And which I think is a great idea, but I do also like the idea of being able to duplicate it and have it across several blockchains like you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Well, Stoyan, what are your thoughts? You had a question about the eCash thing?
Yeah, there was some confusions about the namespace for the where to put these functions, because with the BCH GS, there was like SOP namespace, like NFT or something, but the eCash, they have e-token, right? They call their stuff e-token. So what will happen with the library? I think you was some discussions with Matthew or his name, where to put
Mhm.
exactly the function generating addresses in which
Yeah,
part of
let
the.
me show you real quick. I'm gonna share my screen. Is my screen visible? Oh, there we go.
No. Okay.
There we go. Thanks, Aaron.
No problem.
So this is the pull request that Matthew submitted, and it ended up being actually pretty easy because the eCache development team had already done, I think it was specifically Joey King, or had already forked this cache adder JS library into eCache adder JS. So it has all the same features, which is Bitcoin Cash and Simple Ledger, and they just added the eCache stuff. So it was largely just replacing the libraries was the main bulk of the, and this PR is linked in the right here in the agenda. Yeah, so it was really just putting in swapping out an old library with a new library, and then adding the specific function calls to convert an address to eCache. eCache
So what will happen? What will happen with the example repository BCH.js example? Will be there included also the eCache examples, or?
I'd like to see it. Yeah. I mean, I was hoping to actually update the examples yesterday, but I didn't get time for it. So, I mean, anybody can do that. I would like to see an eCache like example branch or folder for that stuff. It would be, yeah, it'd be really nice. And I'd also like to see the same thing for Avex.
Very cool. Very cool. So the whole Facebook thing made me think about the pay-to-write database and decentralized data this week. Like when that hit, I was like, man, they should be running, on a pay-to-write database over IPFS, and they probably wouldn't have this problem. It was such a central point of failure that.
Yeah, well, the irony was that because the system was down, they couldn't even get into the building to fix the system. It was like this total chicken and egg problem.
Wow, yeah, because they actually have their authentication into the physical building through the same system. Wow.
Yes.
That was part of the delay.
Yeah. So as that's happening, I'm listening to some people talk about it, and I'm like, man, if they were like decentralized over IPFS and utilizing pay-to-write database and things of that nature, they wouldn't have this problem. But because they've centralized themselves so much, they had a central point of failure, which took them offline.
I'm hoping that this experience inspires some small percentage of people to look for alternatives. It's inspired me to look a little deeper at Mastodon. That's been getting some traction. I finally just created a profile. So shout out to anybody who wants to connect to me there. I just did a tweet with my Mastodon profile info. And, they use a federated model. It's a microblogging platform, and they use a federated model. I am ignorant of this, of most of it. I'm trying to learn on it, but it does look very legitimately decentralized.
No, it's an underlying, data exchange protocol. And on top of it, there are several good projects, like Mastodon is for blogging. They also is an image gallery, and I forgot what else. But they're using the same underlying protocol, so you can like exchange like profile information or like pictures, stuff like this. But yeah, Mastodon is like classic. I have accounts on maybe 10 of them, different groups, because of the cool names, like Bitcoiners dot something.
That's awesome.
I was wondering.
Go ahead.
I had a question about the chat function on the chat.fullstack.cash. Is it possible to do groups that way? Because I know it's single peer-to-peer, but is it possible to do a group?
It is. It needs to be built. The thing is that when you're doing peer-to-peer communication, encryption's really straightforward. And when you do a group communication, encryption just really doesn't work based on the fact that it's all groups. Even if you can get it to work, it's just not really very effective. So it just encryption in a group setting is not really a very good fit. So it is possible. It's just needs to be built and needs to be thought about.
I just read
the comment. You reading the comment from David?
Yeah.
Oh, what did he say?
70 million people joined Telegram.
I had heard that. Yeah,
Wow.
70 million people joined Telegram.
Wow.
Facebook was down.
That's
it's a
nuts.
huge spike in Telegram traffic.
I know people are like, Telegram's running slow, and Telegram's like, we didn't expect this many people.
Yeah. I do love Telegram. I do worry about the lack of understanding of their back-end infrastructure.
Yeah. I like Telegram for its ability to share files, photos, stuff like that. Anybody that does video with me, I'm like, get on Telegram because I can send you dailies through Telegram. You know, I don't have to email them to you or send a low res through text message. I can literally just drop it into Telegram, and you're gonna see a pretty good resolution daily. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I wish they'd add 360 functionality. Any Telegram programmers out there listening? We need a map, map the sphere.
I want to mention that the Suite.io does have 360 NFTs now. I collected all of the Nelly ones, and I got a bonus 360 of the King, the Burger King guy. So I got so it's kind of wild to see they gave you little surprises. So if you collect all the particular one, you get these additional 360 NFTs. They're ERC 721, but really interesting.
That's the like a 360 product or artifact photography.
Right. Yeah.
Or is it an actual? Can you just turn it, or can you actually?
Right now, it's just turning it. So it's not like an STL or a OBJ or anything. It's just
See, what's going to be sweet is when they're OBJs as well. And that's some projects I'm working on when I get time, where it's like, all right, I've got OBJ files. I'm going to put it up into IPFS, and there's a JavaScript file that you can look at it on your browser, but I also want to have the functionality of now you can download the OBJ and then go print it or stick it in a video game.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know? So it's like you can preview it, you can look at it, you can show people it on your phone. Here, look at this. I can turn it around. And then you can go home to your computer, download the OBJ file, and then print it out with your 3D printer.
I love that idea. Like I still haven't seen it. I hope maybe it exists. I'm not aware of it, but I still want to see the ability to build something in Minecraft and then print what you built with a 3D printer.
Right, because that's where people are building.
I don't know why that
stuff
doesn't exist.
Yeah. My kids are great at building castles, but it only exists on that one server in one Minecraft. If you could actually hit a button, it prints out. That'd be awesome. Great idea.
The biggest problem is the 3D rendering and building platforms, and they're getting better. They're integrating a lot better. The OBJ file format itself was a huge step forward to where, okay, now you can use an OBJ to take it into Blender or Nuke or 3ds Max and actually pull up the file and look at it, whereas before, and you can also print with an OBJ now, which is great, but before they were separate file systems. But again, that integration is happening to where I don't think it's going to be long before you can take a capture from Minecraft. In fact, if you really wanted to, you could just screen capture around and photogrammetry recreate. It'd take you a little bit to do, but you would go around your castle and screen capture, and then take it into something like Agisoft or 3ds Zephyr, and then you could recreate that and then have an OBJ file.
So which button do I press to get that object to print at Stoyan's 3D printer behind him there? Because I figure I could just probably send it right there.
Yeah, hook up a like one of those animal feeder, the Bitcoin Cash activated animal feeders, except it's on Stoyan's desk printing shit.
Yeah. Aaron, who's in the Telegram chat, he's been working on that BCH the payment module, right? And so I think if somebody
Any
wants to
updates
hit
on
him
that?
up,
Because I'd like to buy a couple from him.
he's in the prototyping stage, and I'll talk to him. But right now I know he's got it hooked up to his lamp, and so you can turn his lamp on for a minute if you send him some BCH.
Yeah.
But what's great about it is he's trying to. Oh, sorry.
I was just saying I really need I need to touch base with him this winter because I am planning on buying a couple vending machines, and I want to make sure that they are compatible with what he's building. I'd love to just buy them and plug them in, and then I want I want to start a token economy here on the island that I live, and I think that having a vending machine that accepts our local currency is like the key to bootstrapping that.
Oh yeah, right. And prompt.cash supports that, right? So you could put the PSF tokens into a prompt.cash thing. So they've got a lot that's already built in. I'd love to see some of that, not only go to BCH, but also to get whitelisted SLP tokens in there.
I think
so. Just another topic that I just wanted to cover while you're here. Anybody who's used Ethereum is aware of the crazy transaction fees. It's not just that they're high, it's that they're volatile. Like at one point yesterday, I tried to do a transaction. It was an $80 transaction fee just to send ETH, not even to interact with an ERC20 token. And then I tried. I was like, that's way too high. So I waited till the evening, and then the transaction fee was $10. That was much better. So I waited a few hours. But I've been playing with the Avalanche C chain and their bridge. I've been hearing about all these things, and I know that the C chain transaction volume is exploding right now. And so I decided, okay, it's time to sit down and think about this. Because I'm also really thinking, I've been doing some research into stable coins that I'd like to share with you guys. But anyways, I really encourage you guys, if you have like a little bit of ETH to play with, Google the Avalanche Ethereum bridge, really smooth UX. You can convert your ETH into wrapped ETH and move them over to Avalanche. And then there's Pangolin and Trader Joe. Those are the two decentralized exchanges on the Avalanche C chain. Pangolin was the only one, so it kind of got that first mover advantage, but everybody's raving about Trader Joe. And after trying it, it's still a little clunky, but man, it works. When it works really good. And then they have all these stable coins. And so the transaction fees on the Avalanche C chain is like between like 8 cents to like, I don't think I've ever seen it over 20 cents. I think it's always been under 20 cents for a transaction fee. And so there's a couple stable coins that caught my eye. One is the Frax stable coin. That's really interesting. It looks like they have really good fundamentals. They're both on Ethereum and Avalanche C chain. They're a semi-collateralized or semi-algorithmic stable coin. So they're both collateralized and algorithmic. They're a hybrid, and really interesting there. And they're a DAO. They have their own governance token. And then there's also on Avalanche, there's Teddy Cash, which is a fork of, I think it's called Liquidity on Ethereum. And what it is it's a very simple smart contract that lets you take loans to yourself. Now, I wouldn't do this right now because the market's high. I'm going to wait till the market's low so that I don't have so much risk of getting liquidated if we lose 30% one day in prices. But there's no intermediary. You are essentially giving a loan to yourself. So you stake like some Ovex, or on Ethereum, you stake Ethereum, and you get a US dollar pegged token. This means that there's no counterparty risk. There's no, well, I mean, other than the smart contract. You got to trust the smart contract was written. But some of the Teddy Cash has not been audited, but I think the Liquidity project that it was forked from was audited. And Frax is very highly audited, and there's governance mechanism there. So those are a couple stable coins that have caught my eye that I'm playing with. Just loving the low transaction fees, loving the decentralized exchange of assets. Really coming. There's a lot to appreciate there.
Wow.
Can I show something?
Yeah.
Sure.
I have already my DEX on Avalanche C chain.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yes.
of course you did.
Like, if you remember the,
There we go.
so I ported my clone of this scaffold. It's already working with Avalanche C chain, both Fuji and the main net. So I can create
Wow.
all of this crazy application on the Avalanche too. So first one is this. If you remember, we talked about this AMM stuff. It's already also on Fuji. So you can play with selling, buying tokens, stuff like this one. I will post maybe the URLs in the chat when I'm talking, maybe, huh? Or
Sure.
Yeah.
or maybe
Or toss them in the PSF Telegram channel.
Okay. So PCF, this one? Here,
Yeah.
maybe.
Perfect.
So, and also I have the burner wallet that I was talking about. One-time wallet sits already on the Avalanche too. So if you don't have MetaMask, you just go there, get a wallet, start working with the DEXs and stuff like this that Chris is talking about. These are on Fuji, but I can put them also on the main net. Because let's see, if I was working with Smart BCH, but a lot of tools which are great are not supporting it, but they're supporting Avalanche C chain.
Wow.
So, for example, I wanted today to present this Defender. It's an Open Zeppelin project, but it's another gem again. So what you can do here, first there is this relays, which you can create wallet here on many chains.
Oh.
So this one itself is not so exciting, but you can create a wallet and fund it. Just remember this one. After this, you can create, you can import contracts here. And imagine you have a PCF, for example, token contract, IRC20 token. You import it here, and after this, you can do extremely fancy stuff. Like, for example, you can have a proposals which execute some methods. For example, we want to mint new tokens, or we can burn new tokens. You can execute this from here like a DAO. And you can make this multi-sig execution or time log them, whatever. So for example, we want new tokens. We will just make a proposal here to execute the mint method, and we will do this to be the multi-sig. So we can have a small DAO inside here.
Yeah, that's cool. So I've been looking at this as well, because I've been inspired by you, Stoyan, and I'm really starting to lean towards this, the Avalanche model, where they have the X chain and the C chain, and they have a way to move tokens between the two chains, and so you can really leverage. It's like we figured out how to do multi-sig minting on the X chain, but and then we have a smart contract we can do minting. So it's like between the two, we have two very different ways of solving our problems as a DAO, and so I'm very attracted to having options.
And this one is how to see. It's the beginning of the greatness. Another one, if you move down this auto task, you can create a small scripts here in JavaScript. For example, this one I just create. I don't know even what I created here. But you can have this a small piece of code here, not this one. So, and you can, how to see, this Sentinel guys, it can listen to the events on the blockchain. Means for example, their presentation was when somebody buy PCF token, you can mint the NFT for him automatically. So this guy, it's listening for example, if you exchange Uniswap, for example, make event on every exchange. So when somebody exchange PCF for something, this Sentinel will catch this and it will run this auto task, and it will automatically generate a mint. It will mint NFT for this guy and reward him.
That's cool. So one use case I could see for this is like when someone pays for a fullstack.cash subscription.
In this case,
I could send them an NFT that represents a receipt.
And it will get the funds from this relays that you funded. So everything is automated here. It's like a small infrastructure here. Like, I think it's, how to see, and it's very new still. It's working in the moment only with test nets, but a lot of them, like Avalanche, definitely.
It's kind of like an ifttt.com thing.
Yeah,
you can, but with smart contracts and with the ability to write whatever you want.
And events. Yeah. So very, very fancy stuff.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah. And one more, I will post the repository here because we were talking with Chris about can we breach some tokens between like SOP maybe or Smart BCH and other chains. It seems there's already some ready project here. It's come from these RSK guys, which they're doing smart contracts on top of Bitcoin. No
smart. On top of on top of BTC.
But it's hot see whatever. But they already.
But it's still EVM compatible code. Yeah,
this is the contracts. But they how to see. They're using it in their chain, but in fact, the repository itself, it's the blockchain independent. You can have two blockchains, EVM compatible, with contracts of both of them. And there's also this off-chain federator, which is a piece of JavaScript which will check. And there can be maybe several of them. And when they agree everything is okay, only in this case, you can do the bridging. So I think it's pretty good project. It's audited and everything. Even somebody already ported to Smart BCH. This guy, they announced it today it's working with. So yeah, this is cool. Another one that I found this week.
That's, I'm going to have to check into that risk thing. That's intriguing to me because I had just on this topic of sort of bridging blockchains securely, I had this idea of like you could write a Node.js JavaScript app that is stateless, that you just feed it inputs like you sign a transaction and then it reacts to the transaction you signed, but the app itself is stateless, and so you could upload that to Filecoin and get a hash. And so everybody, just like a smart contract, everyone knows they're running the same code because they have this IPFS hash. And so this would be a method of interacting with any blockchain at like a higher level at the application level. That's both, easy to share, immutable, and because it's stateless, like it just depends on whatever inputs you give it at the time. So I had I threw some notes in the specification repository for PSF, applying this to minting multi-signature tokens, because it's theoretically possible, but no one's actually done the work to develop it on BCH for SLP tokens. And so, we were having a problem with it on the Ovex side as well. We solved that part. We figured out how to do multi-sig minting of X-chain Avalanche tokens. But this method of doing it at the application level would work for any blockchain. It doesn't really care what blockchain you're talking to. And it uses Shamir's secret sharing protocol, which is pretty cool if anybody wants to check that out. That's really a like I felt like once I found the JavaScript library for that, I was like, ooh, new superpower.
Yes. Okay.
Very
so,
cool.
Do we have time for one more interesting stuff?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's do one more and then let's go ahead and wrap it up. It's been about an hour.
Okay. So this one is exciting. It's Avegochi. If you remember Tamagotchi era, this one is how to see. If you look on it, it does not look fancy at all. But this one is like a whole new world. They have how to see so many new technologies packed inside. It's like gem on itself. Like they're using not usual contracts. They're using something named diamond pattern, very new to the even for the Ethernet. It's still like not approved, but it's pretty much like in the usual Web 2 world will be like Apache or Nginx in front of many other services. So this diamond guy, I think I have some picture. You can have one diamond which will talk to many facets behind him. So you send some function to this diamond, like for example, mint, and it will found a facet where to resend this function, and can be like NFT contract. So if you send him another function, it will send it to the another facet. You can replace the facets, update them. Like several diamonds can share common facets.
Wow.
So it looks like a routing protocol. But is it specific to smart contracts or just in general?
Yeah, it's a smart contract. So you communicate only with one Ethernet address. You send all your transactions to this one. It found the facets, resend them. So these Avegochi guys, they how to see, they have many facets inside this Avegochi main diamond, and for example, all of their graphics, these things that you can put like clouds on this one, like some fancy gadgets. All of these are separate contracts, and all of the graphics are in fact everything is on chain. They have everything like SVGs on chain.
Wow.
And also they have this governance stuff, which is you can you can communicate with social networks. For example, when somebody posts something, you can add experience to you, Avegochi. So it's like connections between on-chain and not like how to see real world social networks and this Avegochi. You can change the stuff like points or something with posts to the Twitter, for example. This governance will take care for this. Also, if you want to add new feature, it's possible. This diamond is how to see extendable. You can add new features, and you can do this via DAO. So if everybody votes to have the new clouds, so this set DAO, for example, stuff like this one.
Stoyan, what you're proving right here, I mean, you've done this every time I've joined, is that there's so much amazing stuff happening all over the place that makes me feel like, wow, this is going to be successful. All of this, we are going to make it. I mean, this is, not just us here, but the whole crypto space. I mean, this is amazing. You can spend all of your time reading, thinking about crypto, and there's still thousands of other things that we are not understanding and not seeing. So you are bringing some amazing stuff to the fore.
So this one, I will study this for maybe next month, because it's, I told you, it's the new world. It will be, how to see, this Avegochi, it will become like a model for many other game assets. they will start doing this.
The extensibility and the routing look like really, I mean, looks like there's a lot of potential. That's what I'm taking away from your presentation here, is like, wow, I need to look at this, because the ideas seem very powerful.
Yeah, this was what I was attracted. I'm not so interested in gaming assets, but like this infrastructure, it's starting from usual tokens. You buy this Tamagotchi with Avegochi with tokens, and you start expanding it with functions and create DAO around it, like everything.
Wow.
A little world
you
around.
Can just build. I love the idea, like the Lego block analogy. I always feel like that's the right approach to software. Is you should be able to build your Lego blocks, add them, build the next Lego block, add it. Somebody else can build a Lego block, add it, or like take what you built and then like remove some Lego blocks and add some other Lego blocks. Composability. This
will be, let's see, maybe great model for future. So when you have time, take a look on Avegochi.
Yeah, thank you for putting those links in Telegram. I'm glad. That's a great. I mean, I'll probably. I tend to come back and watch these meetings like a couple of days later, and so I'm glad that we can capture the links in Telegram, and everybody's got access to them now.
I think my girls would love that, to be honest with you. Like this Avegochi, very much like Tamagotchi, and it'd be a good intro into doing crypto. I tried to utilize SLP tokens for like chores and stuff like that, and it worked out some, but not all the way. So
my Zoom just shut down.
Hey,
you're still hanging out. We managed to copy you. Now this is great.
We got
now
two
of you. We're gonna get twice as much done now.
Yeah.
Oh, it's.
You see Sam I Am records in the YouTube chat. He already knew we were going to talk about diamonds, so he posted a bunch of diamonds out there. So thanks for that, and also Crazy Money wanting to get into the 3D printing part of this. So I think it's great to see comments out there, and I love the engagement that we're getting. Not a huge group right there, but I feel like making sure we talk about that because those guys are fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes, thanks to anybody commenting out there. We appreciate it. And I decided to put a title up for that type of segment. It's now Stoyan Blows Our Minds segment. After the after the round robin.
It's a lot to live up for, though.
Yeah. So that's a new segment.
We'll put that on the agenda.
3 segments. You got the agenda, the round robin, and then Stoyan Blows Our Minds.
Nice.
All right, guys. Well, let's wrap this up. Amazing meeting, like always. Thank you for blowing our minds again, Stoyan.
Absolutely. That was great.
Yeah, and anybody that's interested, feel free to contact us in the Telegram. If you're interested in the pay-to-write database and stuff like that, contact Chris. He's always working. He's willing to talk. I'd love to talk NFTs or anything to do with 360 VR development for anybody that's in that area. And Stoyan's definitely burning down the lane with the smart BCH and a lot of these NFT stuff too. So we're all on Telegram, easy to get a hold of, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Excellent. Let's do the outro.
All right.